Okay, so I suddenly had the genius idea to flip my iPad up the other way so that I could access the buttons, but this also means the camera's on the other side and the frame is slightly different, so we'll see how we go. We'll see. Hi, and welcome to my, what month are we in? April wrap up. We are now in May. It's now the 1st of May, and this is my April wrap up. I read 8 things and a bit in the month of April. I was hoping to read a few more, but the end of the month kind of snuck up on me. I have a bunch of assignments I'm working on, and it just got a little bit hectic, so it didn't happen. But I did read 8 things, which includes pretty much 7 novels, one of which was quite small, and like 1 short story. So let's get on it. So first off this month I read Landline by Rainbow Rowell, which was the start of a little bit of a Rainbow Rowell-a-thon because I got really excited and I gave this 5 stars. Yes, Landline is Rainbow's 2nd novel for adults, and it follows a girl called Georgie, a woman called Georgie, who is trying to balance work and home life, and it's not going real great. And it's a little bit like magical realism-ish, because her husband goes to his parents for Christmas and she stays behind to work, and they kind of have a bit of a fight about it, and then she tries to call him and gets past him on the landline at his parents' house when they were like 20 something, like 22-ish. So it is magical realism. It's really cute and adorable, as always with Rainbow Rowell. I really loved this. I gave it 5 stars. It was super adorable. I really understood the relationship tension and stuff. I heard some people found they didn't like her husband that much, but I did. I liked him, and I just really enjoyed it as a whole. I don't really have that much else to say, and gosh, it's getting hot in here, so I'm about to turn on the fan. Then I read Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, which continued on my Rainbow Rowell-a-thon, and Attachments is the first adult novel that Rainbow wrote. Did I just whack? I don't even know. Attachments I really, really loved. It follows Lincoln, who monitors these Beth and Jennifer's emails, and he's kind of falling in love with Beth, but of course he's just reading her email. He hasn't actually met her, and so it follows Lincoln's perspective, and then through Beth and Jennifer's emails, and I just really loved it. As with all Rainbow Rowell, it does end real suddenly. Like, they get to the romance comes to a peak, and then done, story over. But I still really loved it. It was really cute and adorable, and just everything I wanted from a Rainbow Rowell novel, and I also gave it 5 stars. Then I read Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, and this is a historical fiction set in Iceland following the last woman to be person, but also woman to be executed in Iceland, and it follows her story through her pre-execution period, post-trial pre-execution, waiting for everything to be sorted out, because of course they're in Iceland in the middle of winter and there's all kinds of concerns. And it's really an exploration of the crime and why she was there and stuff. It is based on a true story. I'm so descriptive today, I apologize. It is based on a true story, but obviously fictionalized. It follows actual records of the incidents, like letters passed between important members of the community, as well as arrest records and things like that. It was really good. I have this kind of thing with this kind of literary fiction where I can love it and not enjoy the reading process. It's a weird thing, but I come at it differently. My enjoyment from a literary fiction is entirely different from my enjoyment of a YA fiction generally. Oh, this shirt is looking lumpy and shapeless today. I have shape. And this essentially just so I gave Burial Rites 5 stars, but I just wanted to point out that it was a different kind of 5 stars that I would have given, say, to Landline and Attachments. It was a different kind of 5 stars. And a lot of it came from the fact that at times this was really hard and deep-hitting to read. And I don't read literary fiction that often, so I don't bring it up that much. But when I do read it, I definitely feel a different sense of enjoyment from it. It's more like a satisfaction and a gaining of knowledge and understanding rather than enjoyment. It's probably the case for everyone, but I don't know, so I'm just putting it out there. I then read another Interlude Press novel. I seem to be doing that a lot lately and probably will continue to do that a lot. And I read Pivot and Slip by Lila Suzanne, which was one of the first releases from Interlude Press, but was temporarily out of stock when I placed my original order, which is why I didn't have it then. I only bought this during my Easter book haul, which you would have seen, and this follows 2 boys. I don't have it with me, so I can't. And it's only really super short. And what are their names? It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. And one of them was a swimmer who is kind of lost his way, kind of had a big falling out with swimming, and now is working as a yoga teacher. And the other one is a boxer who's had an injury and has kind of been kept out of the game. And there's a little bit of a romance going on. It is very short, but it was adorable, and I loved it. I couldn't give it 5 stars primarily because it was so short that sometimes I felt that things were very rushed, but I really loved it. And one of the new Interlude Press novels that came out in the month of April, I think it came out in April, or is it coming out in May? Either way, is also by Lila Suzanne, and I'm pretty sure it's a bigger novel, and I'm very excited to pick that up because I want to see what she does with a bit more room to wiggle. Then I read Right Here Waiting, finally onto the books I actually have with me, but didn't help that for half of April I was for a week of April, week and a half of April, I was at my parents' house over Easter, so I left books there. But so the next book I read was Right Here Waiting by K.E. Belladon. This is another Interlude Press novel. This is the new release that came out in early April. And, oh, no, maybe this came out in March even. This was gorgeous. This is a war story following Ben and Pete gets sent off to the army. He enlists, and Ben also tries to enlist, but he has an injury. From when he was a kid, he did something to his knee, which meant that he could no longer, like he had too much permanent damage, they wouldn't send him off into the American army during World War II. And so Pete goes, and it's really a it's a romance where they're split apart by circumstance and distance, and they're trying to figure out how to survive and then come back together. And it was really gorgeous. It is reminiscent and is meant to be reminiscent of old wartime films, and just loved it. Pete and Ben were really adorable, and their relationship was really sweet. And I liked that it didn't skirt around the tough issues. Like there was mentions of PTSD and death and all that kind of stuff that comes with war, and I really enjoyed that. And it's so good. It's not that long. You should pick it up. It is really, really good. Yeah, so good. Supporting cast was also really, really good in this one. I really fell for a lot of the supporting characters. 5 stars, if I didn't mention that. And then I read The Whitechapel Fiend by Cassandra Clare, which is on my iPad. I was going to be like, here, have a look at the cover. But you were the cover. You were on my iPad. And the cover is on my iPad. But I was taking a photo of it, of course. The Whitechapel Fiend is the new Shadows from the Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy novella, and I loved it. Short story, it's really a short story, it's not a novella really. I loved it. It was so fun. It took me ages to find, like for some reason it was out on the American iTunes and the American Amazon, and it just wasn't appearing on the Australian ones, even though it was like past the release date. But it eventually appeared. Kabang, it appeared. I read it really quickly and I really enjoyed it. And I just love Simon. I've always loved Simon. So every time I read these, I'm just like, yay! Because Simon. Simon is just my fave. I gave this 4 stars, as I normally do with these. 4 stars is probably the highest I would ever give a short story like this on its own. As a compilation book with all of them, they generally bump it up, which is what I did with the Bane Chronicles. Probably every short story was about a 4, but the book as a whole was a 5, which is kind of how I'm feeling about this. Unless one absolutely blows me out of the water, then who knows. But I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the interactions with Jace. I enjoyed the story, and it just so good. I want these like all in my lap now. Why are they being written? I want them wrote already. Gosh, loved it. And then I read A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I finished this during the Dewey's 24-hour readathon, and I loved it. It was so good. I gave this 5 stars. It follows Kel, who is a magician that can, in this magical world where there are multiple parallel Londons, and he is one of a breed of people that can travel between the Londons, and it's kind of a dying race, and he's one of 2 that are known. And so he comes from a really magic rich London. There's also a magic rich London that has been overtaken. There's one that was totally overtaken, has been cut off. One that is kind of in a power struggle with magic. Kel's London, Red London, which is going real great, and then Grey London, which is more like has lost sense of its magic and is much like our London. I loved this. I thought it built the culture really, really well. The characters were all really well fleshed out. I had something else to say. I can't remember. The plot was very, very good. I enjoyed the twists and turns. It didn't feel at times it felt a bit shallow, like I wasn't really sure where the deeper meaning behind certain plot points were, but it made sense in the long run, and also I think it will make sense even more when expanded over the rest of the trilogy. So I am really excited to see where book 2 goes of this. This was really good. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read The Skies Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. This follows Lenny, whose sister just died, and she's trying to understand her grief while being a part of this love triangle with her sister's boyfriend and the new guy in town. And it seems really cliched and over the top, but when you read it, it's really not. It really gets to the bottom of the idea of grief and how it affects your life. And it is really, really sad and gorgeous. It includes poetry, like all through. There's these different poems written by the main character Lenny, and music, which was really great for me because I am a clarinetist and Lenny is a clarinetist. I haven't played in far too long, like it's really 3 years since I played clarinet, but I played clarinet all through high school and loved it, and Lenny plays clarinet, and I really loved all the like supporting underlying stuff as well as the main plot, and it was just a really well-rounded, fleshed out story. I liked the characters, I felt for them all, even when they were making stupid decisions, and I really loved it. Yes. I really, really enjoyed this. 10 out of 10, no, 5 out of 5 stars. 9 out of 10 would recommend, 10 out of 10 would recommend is what I was going for. And I'm also really keen to read I'll Give You the Sun, also by Jamie Nelson. So those are the books that I finished in the month of April, but I also read a good chunk of Monstrous Affections by Kelly Lincoln, Gavin J. Grant. I am now like 2 stories away from the end, and I was hopeful that I could have finished it last night, but it hit midnight and I was tired and I didn't finish it. But so this I will talk about more in my May wrap up, but just so you know, I did read it. I gave most of the stories I read, which was a lot of them, mostly 4 stars on average, a few 5 stars, a couple of 3 stars. But yes, talk about this more in my wrap up next month. So those were the books I read in the month of April. We're in April. Oh my god, Cara, we're in April. And so I read these and the other ones that would have popped up on the screen because I don't have them with me. But thank you for watching. I really enjoyed all of these. Let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed any of these, if you've read them. And I'll see you soon with a main TBR video, which isn't going to be much of a TBR video, so I'm going to film it real quickly now. And I'll see you then. Thank you for watching. You're amazing, and bye.